He said I wasn't feminine enough, told me to act like a woman. So I gave him exactly what he wanted. Soon his friends stopped visiting. HR called him in for questions, and he learned what femininity really means. When Jaden told me I wasn't feminine enough, I thought he was joking. We were sitting on the couch watching a movie when he looked at me, really looked, and said, "You know, sometimes I wish you'd be more like a woman. Like, softer." My ex never raised her voice. She always wore heels and perfume. I laughed, thinking he was teasing, but he wasn't. That night, he didn't kiss me goodnight. The next morning, while I was making coffee in my oversized t-shirt and messy bun, he muttered, "You could at least try to look like a girl, you know? Just once." That's when it hit me he actually meant it. For months, Jaden had been dropping little comments. "Why don't you wear makeup anymore? You're getting too comfortable." My mom says a woman should always stay polished. I used to brush them off, thinking he was just insecure, but it wasn't insecurity. It was control disguised as advice. The worst part? I started to believe him. Every time I caught my reflection, I saw someone tired, messy, too loud, too opinionated. Someone he didn't love anymore. But the truth was, Jaden had changed. Not me. He wasn't always like that. When we met 2 years ago, he said he admired that I didn't try too hard. He loved my genes, my sarcasm, my ability to fix a leaky faucet without calling anyone. He said I was real. But as his career grew, new office, new coworkers, new car, his idea of real changed too. He started hanging out with guys who bragged about their girlfriends' looks, comparing them like trophies. And suddenly, I wasn't enough. The day everything snapped started like any other. Our kitchen sink broke again. I rolled up my sleeves and fixed it myself, using the same wrench I always did. When Jaden walked in, instead of saying thank you, he exploded. "You need to start acting like an actual woman," he snapped. "Be feminine for once instead of stomping around like a dude. How am I supposed to screw someone who's basically a guy?" The words hit harder than any slap. I froze, wrench in hand. For a second, I almost cried, but then I felt something colder rise inside me. Calm, sharp, dangerous. I set the wrench down, smiled. "You want feminine?" I said quietly. "Okay, I can do that." He thought I was being sarcastic. He had no idea. The next morning, I woke up before him. I spent 4 hours getting ready, curling my hair, painting my nails, trying on every dress I owned. By the time I walked out of the bedroom, he blinked like he'd seen a ghost. "Whoa, you look different." "You like it?" I asked, fluttering my lashes. "Yeah," he said slowly. "Yeah, that's better." Better. He left for work with a satisfied smile. I stayed behind watching his car disappear and whispered, "Let's see how much better you can handle." At first, he loved it. I played the role perfectly, the soft, delicate girlfriend who apologized too often and asked him to open jars I could easily handle. He felt powerful again. But I wasn't doing it for him. I was studying him. Every time he corrected me, "Don't interrupt me. Speak softer. Smile more." I wrote it down in a little notebook hidden under my vanity. Every word became ammunition. When his family invited us to brunch, I pretended to take hours getting ready. He had to leave without me, explaining to his mother why his girlfriend needed more time to look presentable. Apparently, his mom didn't like that. When I finally arrived, looking like a porcelain doll, she pulled me aside and whispered, "Sweetheart, is Jaden making you feel like you're not good enough?" I smiled sweetly. "Oh no, ma'am. He just wants me to be more womanly." Her eyes darkened. "That's not his decision to make." I could see Jaden's face turning red across the table. He knew exactly what was happening. After that, I turned the performance up to 11. I spoke in a whisper, flinched whenever he raised his voice, and refused to make eye contact with other men. When his friends came over to watch a game, I trembled at every shout, pretending to be terrified. One of them finally asked, "Dude, why does your girlfriend act like that around us?" Jaden tried to laugh it off, but I could see the embarrassment on his face. After that night, his friends stopped inviting him anywhere. Next came the work barbecue. I wore heels so high I could barely stand, and a pastel pink dress that screamed helpless princess. The moment we arrived, I clung to his arm, whispering, "Please don't leave me alone. There are so many men here." His coworkers stared. His boss frowned. At one point, when his boss reached out to shake my hand, I gasped and hid behind Jaden. I don't like touching strange men," I whispered. The look on his boss's face said everything. HR called him in 2 days later. They had concerns. At home, he was furious. "What the hell was that? You made me look like an idiot." "I'm sorry," I whispered. "You said to act feminine. Feminine women don't shake hands, right?" He stared at me, speechless. From that day on, I refused to drive. I said the steering wheel made my delicate hands hurt. So he had to drive me everywhere, to the grocery store, to work, even to the gym. He stopped smiling at me in public. He stopped touching me altogether. And that was fine, because every day he was digging his own grave. One night, his best friend, the one who'd stopped coming over, texted me, "Are you okay? You seemed really scared last time. Is he hurting you?" That text changed everything. The next morning, Jaden's boss called him in again. Someone had anonymously reported potential domestic abuse concerns. He came home livid, accusing me of spreading rumors. I cried on purpose. "You think I'd say that about you? I love you." Then I locked myself in the bathroom and called his mother. By the time he realized what I was doing, she was already on her way. When she arrived, I was sitting on the couch, hands trembling, makeup smeared just enough to look real. Jaden tried to defend himself, yelling that I was acting crazy, that it was all in my head. His mom didn't buy it. She took one look at him, the furious, red-faced man standing over me, and called him disgusting. She told him she'd talk to HR herself if she had to. That night, he slept at a friend's place. And I, for the first time in months, slept peacefully. But the story didn't end there. A week later, I got a call from one of his coworkers, a woman who'd always been polite to me but distant. "Hey, just so you know, HR is investigating Jaden. Apparently, someone sent them a video." I froze. "A video?" "Yeah, him yelling at you. In the parking lot last month. Someone filmed it." I didn't know who, but I knew it wasn't me. And that's when I realized people had seen everything. My plan wasn't just working. It was visible. Jaden had wanted a feminine woman. Now the whole world thought he was the monster who broke one. But what he didn't know yet was that I wasn't done. Because sometimes revenge doesn't end with humiliation. It ends when you make the person who broke you beg for the version of you they destroyed. The whole sweet, delicate princess act went on for 3 weeks, and Jaden was losing his mind. At first, he smirked like he'd finally fixed me. He told his friends I was finally learning how to be a real woman. He even bragged to his mom that I was so much softer now. But it didn't take long for the cracks to show. Because being the kind of woman Jaden wanted meant being helpless, completely useless. I forgot how to change light bulbs. I accidentally burned dinner twice because I was too fragile to handle hot oil. I left the car unlocked at night, saying I couldn't manage such complicated manly locks. Jaden had to take care of everything. He was exhausted, and I loved it. He'd come home from work grumbling, "Do you seriously not know how to do anything anymore?" I'd blink innocently. "You told me to stop acting like a man, baby. I'm just being your soft little woman." His jaw would clench every time. One night, his friend Mark came over again, the one who used to call me bro and tease me for being too tough. This time, I greeted him wearing a floral dress, pink lipstick, and a high-pitched voice. "Oh, hi, Mark," I chirped, clutching a glass of wine with trembling hands. "I hope my laugh isn't too loud. You boys get so scared when women talk too much." Mark looked terrified. He didn't even sit down. He muttered something about forgetting his wallet in the car and never came back. Jaden stared at me like I'd committed a war crime. What the hell is wrong with you? Nothing, I smiled. Just trying to be the woman you wanted. He stormed off to the bedroom, slamming the door so hard a frame fell off the wall. The next day, I decided to escalate. I went shopping, not for clothes, for props. I bought pastel aprons, fake pearl necklaces, frilly gloves. I filled the apartment with candles, pink cushions, and motivational quotes like, "Be soft, stay silent, smile." When Jaden came home, the apartment looked like a 1950s housewife museum. He dropped his keys. What happened here? I twirled around. I made our home more feminine. Isn't that what you wanted? He rubbed his temples. You're losing it. Or maybe, I whispered, you're just realizing what you actually asked for. That weekend, his company hosted another barbecue. I made sure to wear the most suffocating corset I could find, and heels so tall I could barely stand. Every step was agony, but it was worth it. Because every time I stumbled, every time I grabbed Jaden's arm for balance, people looked at him with disgust. His boss's wife whispered to me, "You poor thing. He makes you dress like this, doesn't he?" I blinked slowly. He says men only love women who look like women. Her jaw dropped. She whispered something to another woman, and soon, 3 HR employees were staring at Jaden like he was a criminal. He realized too late. When we got home, he exploded. You embarrassed me in front of everyone. They think I'm some kind of psycho-controlling boyfriend. I tilted my head. Oh, why would they think that? Because of you. The fake voice, the heels, the whatever this is. I crossed my arms. You wanted feminine. I gave you feminine. He punched the wall. Stop twisting my words. I didn't mean for you to act like a doll. I stepped closer. You meant for me to be quiet. To stop standing up for myself. To shrink so you could feel big. That's what you wanted. He went silent. And for the first time since I met him, he had nothing to say. He started sleeping on the couch after that. He avoided me, barely spoke, but I wasn't done. I printed screenshots of all his sexist texts, the ones where he called women overly emotional, the memes he'd send his friends, the voice messages where he said I should just shut up and smile. Then I attached them all in an anonymous email and sent it to HR at his company. 2 days later, he came home, white as a ghost. They're investigating me, he whispered. Someone sent they think I'm misogynistic. I smiled, sweet and slow. Oh, baby, maybe you shouldn't act like such a man all the time. He packed his bags that night. I watched him drag his suitcase out the door, still trying to mutter something about crazy women. But before he left, he turned and glared at me. You ruined my life. I just smiled. No, Jaden, you ruined mine when you told me I wasn't feminine enough. I just gave you a taste of your own medicine. He left. And I went back to wearing jeans, fixing sinks, and walking barefoot without fear. I didn't just teach him a lesson. I reminded myself that being feminine doesn't mean being small. 3 months later, a new coworker joined our office, one of Jaden's former colleagues. He pulled me aside during lunch and said quietly, "Whatever you did to that guy, respect. HR made him take sensitivity training. He doesn't talk down to women anymore." I laughed. Guess I finally made him respect femininity. He grinned. Or maybe he just learned never to mess with a woman who owns a wrench.